Hello and welcome back to the channel and to the Renault Megane eTech. Now, Renault started their electric car journey 10 years ago, back in 2013 with the Zoe. So I have to wonder why it's taken them a decade to produce this. Now, this isn't replacing the Zoe, that's going to be the Renault 5, which I am looking forward to. This is a class above, it's a bigger car, but not as big as a lot of people will probably think. So, is it typical French familyness, which is chic, cutish, practical and solid, or have they kind of screwed up a little bit? Well, we're here to find out. This is one of those cars that if you look at it on camera or on the brochure, it looks massive. It's another SUV. Yeah, we've got plenty of those, but it's not. This for me is a hatchback. It does have the kind of a look of a crossover SUV type, that bulbous front end, but it really isn't. I'll show you the side profile in a second. It does have that typical sort of Renault French design, the narrow lights, the squiggly DRLs and the LEDs all over the place. You've got this front splitter jutting out. I actually really like this car in terms of looks. It's got the massive badge. I'm not that convinced, but ultimately it's not boring. I'm sick of boring cars. I mean, look, there's no need for this in the bonnet, but it adds something to it. You might not like it, which is fine, but at least they're trying. You can tell how tall this car isn't. I mean, I'm not tall, but even I can reach the middle of the roof to clean it. I would probably say it's roughly the same size as your ID3, your Cupra Born, Hyundai Kona. So it's in the compact segment, but it is a family car. You do have the charging port here, up to 130 kilowatts, CCS of course. It's got some things I don't like. Black gloss, that never really works for me on the outside of a car because it just dulls over time. You've got this kind of big plastic bit here to make it look a bit more sporty and hide its proportions. And you've got quite a high waistline. I don't know if this is the case, I haven't asked Renault, but with the Renault Zoe, they put a very narrow window in so they didn't have to put as much effort into heating the car up or cooling it down, which saves energy. Because the less glass you have, the more insulated it is. You do have decent sized doors, front and the handles here in the rear. You definitely get a child seat in there with no issues. 20-inch wheels. They don't look too bad here, but maybe a little over-spec'd. It looks okay. I'm not overawed. It's quite simplified. They've got the button there, which I'll show you in a second, to open the boot. You've got the comical little wiper, which only covers about a third of the glass because it's very long, but very short. So you can see it's almost like someone's lopped off the roof. It's not the best angle for me. This is probably its worst. Again, more of this black gloss. That looks good on a brochure for a kitchen. I just don't get it on the outside of a car, let alone the inside. The rest of it, I can take it, I can leave it. It's similar, I think, to a lot of other European hatches out there. To open the boot, you have to press that little button there, which releases it. It doesn't open it, there's no electric option. And then you have to basically wedge your hand between the top of the bumper and the boot. So, dirty fingers going in the rear. That's going to happen, and in winter would get very annoying. But then it leads to this quite cavernous boot, bigger than the ID3, not quite as big as the e-Nero. Very, very deep, and if you lift this up, you've got some more storage under there, so it depends on what you're carrying. Some things will be annoying to lift out of this, some things will just, you get thrown in. For a weekly shop, it'll be fine. For me, it's more than big enough for what this is. Okay, here we are inside the Renault Megane, and you've got a nice feeling steering wheel. It looks like the haptic sort of Volkswagen affair, but it's not, it's actual buttons. And you've got this sea of screens in front of you, which actually it integrates nicely into the dash and is really, really nice to look at. If we just turn the car on for a second, if you press the view button, you can change obviously the view. That gives you full sat nav and just back to the normal speedo and whatnot. That's kind of nice. This is nice. It's like your fake leather sort of affair. These feel okay as always. A little bit of black gloss, but I can live with that. And you got this coloured LED which changes depending on the sport mode or eco mode, so that goes red in sport mode of course, and then you got this sort of Alcantara effect that comes along here and goes all along the dash all the way around to the other side. That's a nice touch, but then why finish it off with this hard wearing plastic at the top? in this nice wide door bin, it's like it's carpeted all the way down. These unusual vents feel sturdy enough for me. And look, buttons to turn off lane assist. And it stays off when you press the off button. It doesn't come on every time you turn the car on. Right, now this infotainment system, it does have some Google apps on some trim level. So you've got the Play Store and Google Maps and things like that, Google Assistant. But it's not Google Android Auto, whatever you call it, that the Polestars and so forth have. But it does come with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and you just put your phone there for your wireless charging. You've got heated seats and steering wheel as standard, which is brilliant. Every EV should have that. And of course, actual buttons again to turn the air conditioning on. Down here, you've got a lot more storage. They can be moved apart for, well, you get it. Come on! The armrest, it feels a little bit flimsy, but it works. You can't put it forwards or backwards, which is a bit disappointing.
What are we going to say?
I think it'll be French.
It's going to have one, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's going to be half missing, isn't it? Oh, no!
Look at that.
Wow. Right, so it's a full... it's not the biggest, but it's quite deep. What about this material?
That's really nice. It
does it work?
It does work, yeah. It looks like, you know what speaker cloth looks like?
Oh, yeah.
It looks a bit like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. And even the vents are quite well integrated into the dash. So they've put some thought into it.
Bit of yellow stitching. It carries on to the seats as well.
Now, the seats, yes. Now, this is the second trim level up. So it's not the base, it's the next one up.
I really like them.
They're all right. It's cloth, a little bit of leatherette going on.
That's not me.
Yeah, we did not stain this press car. It was like that when we got here. So someone clearly likes this car a lot. It doesn't look that tall in the back, if I'm honest, from this side.
It's not. If I sit up properly, I've got my head wedged up against here. I'm thinking...
Kids?
Yeah, 12 and under. I mean, if I do give it a bit of slouching, it's not that bad, is it?
What about... Again, is it dark, as we said, with the roof space?
Do you know what? It is quite dark, and I think what makes it worse is these tiny windows.
And that window at the back, as we mentioned before, you can't see much out from the back, can you? Thank God for the reverse parking camera.
Flat floor, yeah. We've got USB-C, 2 USB-Cs here.
Just there, yeah?
Yeah, here, just for kids.
And some beautiful legs as well.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, so we see what it's like on the road in what is not clearly done on a completely different day from the outside bit.
No, I'll click my fingers.
Quick reverse parking camera. Put it in reverse, it's there. I like it.
It's instant.
Oh.
That's the wrong one. That's the...
I keep on missing the drive one and putting the windscreen wipers on.
I think you'll get used to that, though.
You would do, yeah. And these speed bumps?
You can't. Just as you'd expect.
Yeah, like a modern car. Yeah. But I would say it's slightly weighted to the softer, to the city driving. It's not floppy, is it?
It's not.
I'll rephrase that. It doesn't wallow in the in the corners when you're pushing it.
I think it's nice. Again, it's nicely judged, isn't it? It's
balanced.
It's firm, but not too firm.
Yeah. There's no hot hatchery going on. It's got something which every EV should have, and my Tesla doesn't, and it drives me nuts. Speed limiter.
I found it a little bit light, even its heaviest setting.
It's very light steering, isn't it?
I would have liked maybe the heaviest setting to be the medium.
But it is connected to the wheels. Look at that.
It's very direct, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost like hot hatchy, where you only have to turn it a little bit to get a lot of input.
It's definitely biased towards the urban environment, I guess they'd call it.
I think so.
It's not
with 220 PS.
Well, should we mention that again? My first thoughts were that this is like other EVs. It's got too much power just because it's easy to give an EV a lot of power.
Yeah.
220 brake horsepower nearly. And that's a lot in an EV with all the torque you've got.
It's worth saying as well that you don't seem to get all the power at once when you set off, is it?
Yeah, that's what I like, because you don't just light up the wheels, do you? And you can kind of see it in the power band.
Bleeds it in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You get to about 40 and it gives you everything.
Not going to give you all at once, because I would just spin up.
It would be nice to have a hooligan mode, though. Worth noting about the brakes, though, isn't it?
Yes. They've got, like the Zoe, it's like brake a bit, brake a bit, brake a bit. Oh, you're going to brake a lot more now.
At the ends, it's just very much like there we go, we stopped.
Very grabby.
Grabby.
Because other EVs have suffered from that. Where does regen change from to physical brakes?
I mean, the thing is as well is that if you turn the regen up to maximum, it does seem to limit that somewhat, doesn't it?
Yeah, personally I would, because you've got paddles, which is great. I love paddles on an EV, why not?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It gives you a little bit of involvement, doesn't it? For the money, I think this is a really good buy.
Shall we mention the money then?
Let's mention the money.
This has been, by other reviewers, cited as it's going to be a heavy depreciator.
Yeah.
But they made the really annoying for me, and it happens all the time, classic mistake of looking at the list price and then going for the part exchange price, which is not apples to apples.
No.
So this starts at 37 grand near us, damn it, as in the base model Megane eTech. We've had a very brief look on Auto Trader. You can buy the base model, brand new, so it's not pre-registered or anything. How much do you think?
35.
£32,000.
£32,000. And for £32,000, and it's got the same performance.
220 brake.
It's got the same dash.
Yep. So you have all the basics I would want with an EV, like your heat seats,
heat steering wheel,
things like that.
And a good virtual cockpit.
Yeah, that's amazing when you put it on.
Really, I mean, that's something you'd expect to see in a high-end Audi or something like that.
Well, if I click that now, and obviously you can't really see it on camera,
We could put it on afterwards.
It's very much like an Audi.
It is, yeah.
Now, what I think then is like, look at this, and then look at what you get with the ID3.
Yeah.
That basic, like.
And in terms of pricing, this is slightly under as well, isn't it?
It's about the
Same.
it's a few hundred quid.
Yes.
Few hundred quid difference in terms of list price. The cheapest one I could find on Auto Trader again, brand new, of the ID3 was 36.
Yeah.
This is 32.
I mean, I think
Base model.
I would go for this over the ID3.
And we like the ID3 now.
Yeah, well, this just feels like a next step up.
Yeah, I go for that, absolutely. Now, I'm going to put a bit of a spanner in your works here.
Oh.
Would you go for this then, whilst we're talking about the comparing, or the Cupra Born, which is, again, more expensive than this in terms of when you bargain?
I would go for this.
You go for this over the Cupra Born?
I would go for this over the Born. And I did really like the Born.
All right then, here's another. The top spec long range MG4 Trophy, or the base one of these?
I'd still go for this. I guess, I'd go for this. Even my own money, I'd go for this. It's just it feels a nicer place to be.
If I needed to do longer journeys,
I'd go for
perhaps the MG4.
I think I could easily live with this. You're looking at a 10 grand difference.
Yeah.
I think the MG4 would win there because it's not.
You're
how
not
can you?
in a
The trouble is with the MG4 is it's the same size, but how can you compare it to something that's 10 grand less?
Yeah. Nero.
I do like the Nero.
Bigger is Nero.
I guess if I needed the extra space, I would go for the Nero. The Nero is still one of my favourite
And it's
cars.
got the range.
Yep.
As the e-Nero.
Yep.
It has a crossover appearance, but it's definitely a hatch.
When you look at it, you go, "Oh, it looks a bit tall," but when you get to it,
it's very compact.
It's almost like a what would you call it? A visual.
Oh, like some of them.
Trick of the yeah.
Or eye something. An eye thing.
It's eye test.
We're so good at this.
We are, yeah. Just we're getting too old, aren't we, with this? In my mind, there's a monkey looking through a filing cabinet at words.
It's two adults, one or two kids in the rear, and a decent boot.
And you could easily do a long journey with two kids in the boot. 2 kids in the boot? Yeah, you could.
So we mentioned the range then, as we've talked about long trips.
Yeah.
So it comes with a roughly 60 kilowatt hour battery, all of them. I believe they are bringing out a 40-ish kilowatt hour battery version at some point in the future, which is going to be interesting because I'm not sure how that's going to affect the range. I'm going to put this at 160 winter, 200, 210 in summer. 165 miles, and we've got 74%.
And we've not been driving it.
As in left.
Economically.
No, we've been hooning around, seeing what it's like. So this is in weather like this, it's 24 degrees. We've got the AC on.
Yep.
It's well over 200 mile range. It's basically like my Tesla Model 3 standard range.
Yeah.
But I bet it's not as efficient on longer runs. So, if this is 32 that we've managed to find it for brand new, shopping around, in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever age we're talking about, this is a bag.
It's going to be an absolute bag, isn't it?
It's a steal.
And if it's one thing we've learned from the Zoe is that it's all probably going to work really well still.
Yeah, they're good at doing EVs. Roundabout.
It does go round.
That's not bad. Oh,
A little bit of wheel slip there. I mean, it's off, isn't it?
60 now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually...
Punchy.
Yeah. One thing I would say is that the road noise is quiet for an EV, but there's wind noise.
I think it's maybe the wing mirrors out there.
Yeah, large wing mirror. I can hear wind noise. So it is quiet. As this is a family car, and we're blatantly not picking someone up and doing a review whilst we're also doing certain errands.
No, definitely
we're not killing two birds with one stone or
I
anything.
never do that.
Nah. It works. Have you got enough space?
Is that...
That's a yes.
Yep, that's enough space.
Right, so there you go. Thumbs up.
It's very direct, which I like.
Yeah.
There's none of that sort of,
predictable,
it's
isn't
not
it?
vague around the top, is it?
So, yeah.
Visibility is relatively good. At the front, it's amazing. Like I said, the mirrors at the side are amazing. Visibility out the back, it's no worse than the Mini.
What happens in Eco to the throttle?
It dies completely. Yep.
Wow.
It's like pushing a sponge.
But that's what it's for.
Yeah.
To
Eke out
Yeah,
that
yeah.
extra bit of mileage. Sport
right, so ready?
and go.
So it's
So that
bleeding
initial-
it in, yeah, slow
and-
start, and then now, boom,
There we go.
full power,
There we go. We're at
60. These are very narrow roads. For me, it feels like a relatively small car driving on them. It's not a badge, is it? It's not.
It's not, no.
It's not like the SU. The ID4 along here was kind of comical, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it actually feels like a car that doesn't impose on other people, shall we say? Them rear pillars are massive.
Yeah, I've noticed a few times, especially when setting off, you have a massive blind spot with those pillars.
I'm going to say it. I like this.
I really like it.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm surprised how much I do. Well, you always have a compromise with a one-car solution, don't you? You can't be a hot hatch and a practical family car without going to silly prices. So this is, for me, has got the perfect compromise.
Yeah, it's a good balance, isn't it? It's got a bit of everything for everyone.
Yeah, I think Lorna would get in this and like it.
Yeah, because it's not too big.
Yeah, and we like it, and I think most people would. It's kind of neutral in certain respects, other than the aesthetics, which I don't know, everyone's different. I think it would actually appeal to a lot of people, but like we did before, I think we were a bit harsh. You have to drive it, get in it, see it physically in terms of its size, to really think, oh yes, it's quite good. So don't discount this just because of what you've seen on YouTube or a brochure. Actually go out and drive it if it's in your pricing sort of range. Do you think anyone realised how professional we were, that we forgot to do the outro and this is done just before the car goes back?
I don't think anybody will know. Hang on a minute.
Get on your knees.
I don't think anybody will notice at all. And the fact that you've got a camera set up in the boot of another car and the gimbal's probably broken.
Either way, this is a much better car than I ever thought we'd get.
Oh, amazing.
It really is very good.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching all the usual YouTube stuff. If you like this sort of crap, you'll like the Driving Home second channel crap even more. So go and watch that. The link is in the description below. Members, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe.
All the usual stuff.
Comments really help.
They do. Yeah, they do. If you like any channel, interact with it because that helps them a lot with sponsors and so forth. So thanks to Renault, thanks to you for watching this. We're going to go to work now.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Oh my God.